morning. This is another Wednesday morning again. I want to say a very big thank you for those that joined us last week, Wednesday. And we started something special. And there's one Bible verse I want you to put in your heart. Look at the screen. It said, as the new babe desired the sincere milk of the word, that he may grow thereby. We must desire it. And that's how we can grow spiritually. And that's how I brought this to you, that every Wednesday we drop our Bible and verse and review it together. And last week we checked into Daniel chapter 1 verse 1 to 10, and I dropped my personal review and some other people did. And this week also we're looking at Daniel chapter 1, still chapter 1. We're looking at verse 11 to 20. I'm telling you that passage is a power-packed one, and I would like you to follow through as you read. Now let's just continue the reading. Then at the end of this video, please drop your review. I'll drop mine so you drop yours. Thank you very much.
The Book of Daniel, Chapter 1. Who hath appointed your meat and your drink? For why should he see your faces worse liking than the children which are of your sort? Then shall ye make me endanger my head to the king. Then said Daniel to Melzar, whom the prince of the eunuchs had set over Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah, prove thy servants, I beseech thee, 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat and water to drink. Then let our countenances be looked upon before thee, and the countenance of the children that eat of the portion of the king's meat, and as thou seest, deal with thy servants. So he consented to them in this matter, and proved them 10 days. And at the end of 10 days their countenances appeared fairer and fatter in flesh than all the children which did eat the portion of the king's meat. Thus Melzar took away the portion of their meat, and the wine that they should drink, and gave them pulse. As for these 4 children, God gave them knowledge and skill in all learning and wisdom. And Daniel had understanding in all visions and dreams. Now, at the end of the days that the king had said he should bring them in, then the prince of the eunuchs brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. And the king communed with them. And among them all was found none like Daniel, Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah. Therefore stood they before the king. And in all matters of wisdom and understanding that the king inquired of them, he found them 10 times better than all the magicians and astrologers that were in all his realm. And Daniel continued even unto the first year of King Cyrus.
And I want to draw something out on last week. Then we studied verse 1 to 10 last week. I want to draw some things out. Then we'll go through 11 to 21, which is the last verse for this week. And next week we go to chapter 2. Now, what I want to draw out in last week is that in verse 8 said, and Daniel proposed in his heart that he will not defile himself with the portion of the king's meat, nor with the wine which he drank, and requested of the prince of the eunuch that he might not defile himself. This context, that verse 8, has many things impact in there. I don't want to go more into that because we actually read that last week. And why did I make mention of that now? Coming to verse 11 now. He said, and then said Daniel to Mizar, who was the prince of the eunuch, who was set over Daniel, Ananias, Mishael, and Azariah, that's Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. Prove thy servant, I beseech thee, 10 days, and 10 days, and let them give us pulse to eat and water to drink. Us. So I was like the first one. Verse 8 said Daniel proposed in his heart. How did it then become us now? What gave them pause? After 10 days. What happened after 10? That's verse 16. It said at the end of 10 days their countenance appeared fairer and fatter and fresh than all the children. Their countenance, not his countenance now. That all the children that did eat the portion of the king's meat. So you can see that after what they did, after the commitment, because those things they were preparing them to stand before the king. So after the proposing it, Daniel proposed his heart first, influenced the other 3 people to propose also in their heart, and that's why they could take that decision. And even after the 10 days, they were more fairer. And now there's another thing that stood out for me. Is verse 17. He said, as for those children, as for those 4 children, God them knowledge. Now note something, that those 4 children, that's Shadrach, Meshach, Abednego, and Daniel, the 4 of them, God gave them knowledge and skill in all them. These people have a special character that God himself has given unto them, normally, no doubt about that. And now see the part already caught my attention. And Daniel had understanding in all vision and dreams. That shows that there is something spectacular about Daniel that the people, other people might not really have now. They might still have, but Daniel had something. They might be in the same level, but Daniel still have something that is ahead of them. Now you might be in a level with some people. Probably you're a pastor and you're in the midst of other pastors. You humble yourself and say, oh, this person has a particular thing I don't have. Humble yourself so you can receive those. Probably you're in a particular school or a particular office or a particular environment, and see these people have something. Those that are Christian, these are genuine Christians. These people have the God has helped them to some levels. They have some graces, and you humble yourself, learn from them, follow their footsteps. Then you, just like Paul the apostle, follow me as I follow Christ. You follow their footsteps, then you see how God Himself will build. Because the first thing, these three people follow the footsteps of Daniel, and we'll see that even as we are reading, as we go to other chapters, as we unfold other chapters, we begin to see the outcome of the first chapter that they did. The outcome of that, them proposing in that, because Daniel proposed in his heart first, influenced them to propose in their heart, and that's why we read it in other passages of the scripture that they also stood out in some places that they have to propose in their heart, even when it was life and death. So there's a point that we people we follow really matters. It was not Daniel and Shadrach and Meshach that came to that place. They were not only the one that want to be presented to the king, but there are many people, but only few people came together and they stood out for God. Because when we serve God in synergy, we serve God, those that have the Spirit of God, then it really helped us. And let's just look down. Another part that stood out to me is verse 18. Say, now at the end of the day that the king said that he should bring them. The priest of the eunuch brought them in before Nebuchadnezzar. He said, and the king communed with them, and among them all found none like Daniel, Meshach, Shadrach, and Abednego. Therefore stood they before the king. When they came to come and stand, nobody was like them. Probably Daniel have spoken to other people and they said, we come here to enjoy. No, we come here to explore. Your own Christianity is too much. Your own spirituality is just too much. It's not. There's nothing about the food, and we want to enjoy our life. But those three people stood out and they joined with Daniel, and that's why we can read about it. And in that verse 2, it said, in all matter of wisdom and understanding, the king inquired of them, of everyone. He said he found them 10 times better than all the magicians, all the astrologers that were in their realm. Now, many of in their realm is that they were in their class. So they were like class of people. Daniel, Shadrach, and Meshach, they were in the same class. It's not that maybe Daniel was higher than them in a class, but they are different grace allotted to different. So those people, they could discern and saw the grace in Daniel like leader to them. So the one thing that has stood this by verse number 1 is that whenever we are in a new place, find ourselves in it, even with the people that we share the same quality, we should firstly find those that are standing in Christ. Work with those that are firmly in Christ. Work with those that haven't gone ahead of us in Christ. Humble ourselves to learn from those that have gone in Christ, and we try to bring ourselves down so that we can gain something. With that, we see that God Himself is building us for something ahead. When someone is putting you through something spiritually, don't just be pompous. Calm down, bring yourself down, because God is through that building you for something spectacular ahead. And I would like you to drop your own review. Just the left can read it through. And the Bible told us that we see in part and prophesy in part. So you might see it in another angle, and from that we can grow spiritually. Thank you very much. I remain Olani Kendi Daniel. Thank you.